Welcome to a short reflection by Sebastian Mahfoud on Canto 25 of Dante's Purgatorio. At 2 p.m. on Tuesday afternoon, the poets start up the steps leading to the seventh and final Cornice, and it takes them a full hour to make the climb. The time is not badly spent, however, for Dante discovers a question welling within him that Virgil directs to Statius. "How can they grow so thin?" Dante asks, "who need no food in their new state?" This is the kind of question that Dante might have been asking from his first vision of the neutral angels and souls in the vestibule of hell. How can they feel corporal punishment, those souls who have no bodies? Statius responds by first explaining the nature of the generative principle, that pure active blood flows from the heart, an idea that won't be established scientifically for another 328 years, and is released from the male body into a female receptacle where it commingles with her passive blood. This commingling causes the male's active force to clot, quickening the female's passive blood as the matter upon which it works. In this way, the active male blood begins to move through stages. First, it becomes as the vegetative soul that merely grows. Next, it becomes as the sensitive soul that merely feels while growing. And finally, it becomes a rational soul, the full human soul. Upon death, this soul is freed from the flesh. But because the principle has already been established that the soul is the form of the body, that soul retains the essence of its divine and human faculties. It's this essence, this soul, that of its own free will goes to the Tiber or to Acheron, whereupon its formative power once again rays out in a way similar to its having rayed out in its physical body. In short, then, the form imprints itself upon the air, which is why it's called a shade. And in this way it manifests itself to others according to its state of being, and, as Statius explains further, out of air it forms the organs of sight, speech, and every sense. Thus are we able to speak and laugh, and thus are we able to weep such tears, and breathe such sighs, as you have seen and heard, passing among us. By the time Statius concludes his explanation, the poets have completed their climb. This ledge, on which are cleansed those who acted in lust, the least of the vices, both here and in hell, is characterized by a wall of flame within which the penitents who burned in life continue to burn. This is a burn, though, that cleanses their impurities. In such burning it is that there's only space to walk single file on the outside ledge of the Cornice. Virgil notes that they have to be careful. Dante's drawn between two needs. The first, to stare at the souls within the flames, and the second, to keep an eye on his feet, lest he pitch over the edge. Part of his fascination lies in the burning of the souls without their aerial forms being consumed by the flames, like we saw with Ulysses and Diomedes in the eighth circle of hell. In part lies in their crying the whip of lust. First, the holy chastity in Mary's response to the angel, "I know not man." Then the natural chastity in Diana's not allowing one of her handmaidens, smitten by lust, and involved in an inappropriate relationship with Jove, to remain in her presence. Praise then flows from these penitents to husbands and wives who were chaste as virtue in marriage vows require, so that even persons who are married, as is explained in the book of Tobit, should not look upon one another as objects when enjoying one another in the sanctified connubial act. Ciardi notes the double meaning in Virgil's warning that they must keep a tight rein on their eyes. On the narrative level, he explains, Virgil means simply, we must watch our dangerous path with great care. There's the allegorical level, though, that lust, the excess of love, is the most readily inviting sin, which is as dangerous as a fall off the cliff. For love, Ciardi notes, as indicative of Dante's sweet new style, always enters through the eyes. Likewise, lust, or the "I want it for me, gimme, gimme, gimme" attitude, also enters through the eyes, and is transformed into selfishness and idolatry. The it that we want is quickly reduced to an object, and this is especially damaging in terms of our relationships with other persons, where we lose sight of the person in our overemphasis on that person's sexual parts, for the reason that they excite our own. That this is the wrong attitude to take toward others was emphasized by Christ, when he said in Matthew 5:28, "But I tell you that anyone who looks at a woman lustfully has already committed adultery with her in his heart," a point that John Paul II interpreted in his Wednesday audience of October 8, 1980, when he said, "Adultery in the heart is committed not only because man looks in this way at a woman who is not his wife, but precisely because he looks at a woman in this way. Even if he looked in this way at the woman who is his wife, he could likewise commit adultery in his heart." End quote. Because lust within the heart is a relationship destroyer, it should be taken regularly to one's examination of conscience, and purged to the greatest extent possible, lest it become an obstacle to seeing the Creator within the nuptial relationship.